Next person on stage is a weaver and knitting enthusiast from Finnish Lapland. She makes customized, wearable, small fiber art, and she's all about sustainable design. She's been studying art, and she says that she approached textile design with color and composition in mind, as if she were painting. She also provides something called knit and hike. Welcome to tell us more, Annika Konttaniemi.
Hi. So my name is Annika Konttaniemi, and let's begin. So I've always been obsessed with working with my hands. My hands get really restless if they don't have something to do, so I'm always working on something. And one of the ways it manifests itself is knitting. So wherever I am, I'm usually knitting. It doesn't matter if I'm outdoors or if I'm in a train or if I'm on a bus. I always bring something small to knit with me, and it's actually quite good because you're never bored in any kind of waiting situations. Now, the place I come from, there's a small sneak peek there, is quite barren. This is basically the suburbs of Rovaniemi. It's on the Arctic Circle in Lapland, and this is sometime midday in January. The buildings are in there somewhere, you just can't see them. But as an opposite to this gloom, we have really wonderful summer nights. And this here is basically a Friday night out with my best friend. The sun doesn't set in June, and I really enjoy picking mushrooms and harvesting my own food, going kayaking and stuff like that. And sometimes, too, you can enjoy the city and go out. But one of the most special things about Lapland really is the light, that it's different from anywhere else in the world. It's really hard. It really explodes in the spring. And here, one of our favorite activities is Kung Fu. And when you live in a place where there's not that much to do in the city, you find weird locations to train. And this image shows how the summer contrasts to the winter. The blue of the midnight is amazing. The sun reflects in the snow, and people think that it's just dark, but there's actually this very strange light going on. So I originally came to Lapland to study art, and I did a lot of ceramics and painting, but after that I moved on to other things, and I ended up studying business for a while, but the highly theoretical studies got me really bored. And so I started thinking about how could I make this business study more interesting. And I picked up weaving. I started weaving at a local studio where I met these wonderful women, and they taught me all the secrets of the trade. And this open studio is nice because you can come there and use their looms. This is a coffee break room. You can go there, use their looms, and then weave whatever you want for your house. Or in my case, I started weaving stuff for other people, and then started a small business in that way. Now, the way I approach a skill is that from my hobbies, I practice Kung Fu. So I was tinkering with these looms, but I wanted to become really good. And so I thought I need to find myself some kind of master, a sifu, a sensei. And I asked one of the weaving teachers at the local studio if she wanted to help me with this. And she agreed and gave me an apprenticeship for about 3 months. Her name is Katri, and she probably thought I was completely crazy talking about her being my master and me being her apprentice, but it gives me a kick in life to sort of imagine that there still is this kind of systems where you can learn skills from another master of their skill. And I still call her up every now and then, but I finally managed to get my own loom at my house. A loom is quite big, as you can see parts of it there. But you can't, in a small apartment, you can't really have one, so I got one last spring, and I still get my inspiration in nature. Just like I did, the reason I came to Lapland was to study art. And I use these textures and colors that I see in nature, and I weave them into my shawls. Here are some sample pieces that I made. And I've noticed that when I meet people and tell them that I'm a weaver, they often ask that, so is that really what you do? And it's not seldom that I ask myself, am I crazy for doing this? That I'm just sitting under a loom tinkering with this age-old skill, that should I maybe be doing something more clever? Something that is more like a real job, like your parents tell you when you're a child. But it's actually led me to some really amazing places and meeting some amazing people. One of the most memorable was in Japan last winter, when a lady saw my products and she burst into this full conversation, in Japanese of course, about knitting. And while I didn't understand a word of what she was saying, I absolutely knew that we were speaking the same language. And so weaving's kind of become a way for me to connect with the older generation and understand more about where textile actually comes from. Weaving is universal, so it's in every culture, probably one of the first ways that civilization started coming through, when people had to make shelter for themselves. And while I'm weaving and producing textile, these sweatshop buildings are crashing somewhere in Southeast Asia. And it's really made me think more about the origins of textile and clothes, and not just clothes, but also the stuff we eat, the origin of food. And so it's not only been about learning a skill for me, but more connecting with the local area. Fishing and hunting is really popular in Lapland, and so I nowadays take the chance to go gathering my own food whenever I can with friends and family. So I don't know where this simple skill is going to lead me, but I certainly am enjoying the ride, and thank you.